Yes, I'm here.
All right, so the next wonderful guest that we have this today is my lovely friend Debbie. So please, can everybody see Debbie's shirt? Debbie, can you fix your shirt?
Oh, can you see my shirt?
And some of my friends will probably have heard this from me quite a lot. And what we are referring to is our fantastic Wellness Pro. And let me take you a little closer to it. Yeah. This is the Wellness Pro. And as you can see, it's nice and small. It has the capability of servicing about 4 people at once if you're a practitioner. And there are many, many specifications that people would get very excited about. So as I mentioned with Sue, is that, and we all talked about our bodies being, absolutely made of frequency and attuned to frequency and affected by frequency. We can affect a lot of bodily systems with using a current in 2 different ways, into modalities, right, Deb? So just before we start, I want to just make sure that everyone understands it's either online or listening to this replay that we do not diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. However, we can tell you how they have been there before and now they're not there anymore. So that's how testimonials work. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, just a quick background of how you and I know each other. And I'm sure he's with us today, Doug. But we knew somebody who has now moved on to the next level of existence, or should I say, like, he's up there. But Doug introduced us, and I heard so much about Debbie before I ever met her. And then as soon as I met her, immediately we just connected to the max. And Debbie, I just want to thank you also for being my colleague, teacher, advisor of all natures, and really, really fantastic friend for the time. It hasn't been that long, but it feels like forever. And Debbie, I think I'll let you just tell everyone what it is that you do. And so go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Anne, for putting this all together. It's so informational, informative. It's needed. It's wanted by, not just a handful of people, but thousands and thousands of people need what you are trying to do and bring to the table. And I appreciate you including me into your summit. And Sue was phenomenal. She was she is so on target in so many areas. So I count this as a privilege and an honor to be here with you and our team. So I would like to just share a little bit about my story. I got married very young, and I have 4 sons, 4 grandsons, and a granddaughter on the way. I've been married 44 years, and we have our own construction company. And my mom was always kind of into nutrition and health and vitamins and stuff. So I kind of got my feet wet a little bit into herbs and things. But, when you're in your 20s, it's like, oh, okay, I'll take a few and, move on. Well, when I hit 40, talk about feeling old. Long story short, I couldn't get out of bed. I started to ache on my elbows, my back, my shoulders. The pain was so excruciating, and went to the doctors. They didn't know what I had. And so I ended up going up to Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. And within 2 to 3 days of diagnosing and blood pulling and x-rays, they, back in the day, said you had systemic lupus. By the time I was 45, I'd be in a wheelchair. And there's no cure, and there's no, only drugs, 3 drugs, 1,200 milligrams of Tylenol. I had then malaria medicine, and then steroids. That was what they wanted me to go home with. And I was with my mom. It was Thanksgiving Day, and we headed back from the hospital, the clinic, and my mom had fallen asleep, and I did some driving because I didn't trust her driving. And so I started to really call out to God and say, you show me how to get well, and I will share it. But I am not doing drugs. I refuse to go that route. I want to walk. I want to talk. I want a stomach. You know, I want to live long into my latter years of life and be happy and just really happy to know that there are other ways to get well. So I came home, and I'm from Indiana. So, you know, meat and potato girl, and, you know, medical, there's hospitals on every corner. I mean, I'm out 40 miles out of Chicago. So I had Rush Hospital. You got the University of Chicago. It's just like crazy medical, allopathic medicine. So, but in my head, I knew I didn't want to go there. So I started to proceed to look for other elements, and we didn't have the, didn't have the computer much. I mean, I'm 64 years old, so it tells you how many years ago. And so I thought I'm gonna work at finding something else. Long story short, we found Doug. Anna and I both found Doug probably when we were on the verge of being in the pits of our life. Doug came into our life. He came in. I flew out to California and met up with him. He showed me what he does. I fell in love with the word frequency. And I thought, okay, all I knew at that time was you take a balloon, you rub it on your head, you take it off, and you've got your hair standing up. Now there is electricity, you know, and or you plug in a plug. And I thought, frequencies, man, did I start studying, and I changed my diet. I changed, I thought, okay, I try to exercise, but here's the thing with exercise, you are in so much pain, you can't move. So the last thing on my mind was walking across the house. It was so painful. And so I'm thinking, okay, exercises, you know, everybody's exercise. I'm all for it. I think it's wonderful. It has its own level of frequencies. But, you know, when you're sick and can't hardly sit up, your husband is lifting you up to get you out of bed. You know, last thing you want to do is jump in jacks. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to plow through this. So on my journey, I found frequencies. I found Doug. I found Dr. Barta, Eileen. Many people came into our lives, and I bought a frequency machine. And that's been many years ago, almost 20. And I have studied and loved it and went to different classes. I finished a class on FSM, which is frequency specific. You use 2 frequencies at the same time, and our machines do that. We use so much energy. We need so much energy. And a reason why we're sick is Dr. Tennant hit it on the nail on the head. He says our body is voltage. If you're sick and you're in pain physically, the body is lacking in voltage. You do not have enough energy to get well. You don't have enough energy to combat the emotional stress and the trauma, the PTS, you know, all this stuff, the grief, the sorrow, the shame, the fear, all these things that Sue was talking about. You don't have the energy, and did not have the energy to move forward. It took everything she had. I've heard her story. We have shared, very different situations, but you have the same emotions. So God opened some doors, and I walk through them, and I give him the credit for giving us the ability, the friendships to reach out. And I started to do the program. I started empowering my body. I detoxed it. I did not take, excuse me, I did not take any painkillers. I did not take any drugs. I did not do anything they said. I decided to do my own homework, and my family was very supportive, but on the same hand, they're thinking, I'm gonna die. This is a terrible disease. She's gonna die. Let's go dig the hole in the backyard, kind of, their looks on their faces when I walked in. Thanksgiving Day, my sister had prepared this big, wonderful meal. And I jokingly said, what is this, the Last Supper? And everybody's like, boo-hoo. And I'm like, listen, I am not going to die. And I think of a statement that I kind of live by. It says, the most common way people get their power is by thinking they don't have any. So if I want to give power to get, to think that I don't have the power to heal my own self, to allow my body I give it the information, I give it the balance, I give it everything I need. I give it nutrition, I give it frequency, I give it exercise. I, do my best. I do my best to make that. I take back the power to encourage myself. And then, of course, I couldn't stop there. Boy, I opened up my house. I had people sitting on a machine and drinking salt water, like Doug always told us, put a little salt in it. And I had people doing foot baths with the frequencies. It was like started a revolving door. Then I realized, okay, this is my journey. And so I jumped in with both feet. I love what I do. I'm also a Bionetic practitioner. I do biofeedback. I work with a machine a company called The Human. It's a Spectra Vision. We'll have them on one of Ann's summit. They're opening, they have a school going in Kansas City, which we will be looking forward to being certifications in the Wellness Pro for doctors. The Wellness Pro is FDA cleared, so you go to doctors, they can bill it, and they use it on many of their clients. We help them set it up. Like Ann said, do 2 people at the same time. I've hooked up the whole family. You can broadcast into the room a whole group of people, and or just yourself. I know people are sick and they're tired of being sick, and that gets old. It gets old. We have to take responsibility, just like she said. It's our decision, it's our choice, is how we take care of our bodies. And if we don't take care of it, who is? Our bodies are energy. Our cells on a molecular system works with energy. We cannot create cellular energy in our body unless we have voltage. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't every day eat clean. I don't every day exercise. I don't every day think right. I can get that whole negative stuff going at times. But at the end of the day, I need balance. And at the end of the day, I need to know how to bring up that voltage. 3 minutes on, the Hertz 69 instant balancing and groundings. There's a million frequencies in the machine that give us colors, that give us emotional stability. So in lieu of all of that, this is, like as Ann said, it's a modality that we won't be able to live without, because we have pathogens, parasites, staph, strep. We have all these things create inflammation. breaking up the fascia is so important, like Sue said. But also, you've got to get to that point to do that. And you've got to increase the ATP, like Ann said, 500%. That's the healing part. The body, we can turn off the pain. We do that with the TENS side of the machine. We can take tail and brain, go, okay, we're going to like turn it off. However, we need the body to fix it. So we use microcurrents. Microcurrents are teeny tiny little currents that go into the cell, releasing that ATP and allowing the body to heal itself. And we can't always do that because we have stressors in our body, whether it's physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, it doesn't matter. We put up these roadblocks. And our job, Ann's job, Sue's job, my job is to help break down these roadblocks. And so that the body can flow emotionally and physically. And that's how we live happy. And that's how that our bodies don't age as fast. So that's how I got where I'm at today. And I'm hoping that anything that all of these people are saying in the next 2 days you can relate to and cling on to and realize you don't have to do drugs all the time. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the doctor. I'm not saying any of that. I did. I got all the tests. I want to know what I'm dealing with because I don't have Superman eyes. I can't see what's going on. But I know with all the information out there and the modalities and the tools that we have, we can make a difference in our life. But the biggest thing, we can make a difference in other people's lives.
Oh, Debbie, that was amazing. Thank you for telling us all of that. Goodness.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, does anybody have any questions? You can either unmute yourself or you can type them in the chat box for Debbie.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Hey, Debbie.
Oh, yay!
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
So, I have a Wellness Pro, and I saw Ann. I got mold toxicity in my body, like really off the charts, like literally. And so I've been doing energy healing and craniosacral and intuitive work, and I haven't been to a doctor since. I had not been to a doctor since 2008. I just don't take medications. I don't even take an Advil. But then this mold stuff happened, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?"
Oh, I muted you. Sorry, I muted you. Unmute yourself. You got to do it. Sorry.
Okay, like, cut. But anyway, I went on a detox program, and it was all a diet change to get the mold out of my body, and supplements to help my body heal. And I also went to see Ann every day on the Wellness Pro for a month. And Debbie, she was consulting with Debbie, so thank you for your input on that, Debbie. So I know all about Debbie and what frequencies to run it on. And then I ended up getting my own. So I actually hooked myself up right now. As soon as you mentioned Wellness Pro, I'm on the Salvaggio codes right now in a little, just sitting here with it on right now. So it's it's an amazing machine, everybody. If you don't have one, talk to Ann or Debbie or Debbie, because it can help with everything. I went and visited my mom for 10 days who has dementia, and I ran it on her every day, and she liked it. And my dad, who is having surgery for pancreatic cancer. So it's just an amazing, my little testimonial, but it really is worth having.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And by the way, Rebecca is a presenter tomorrow for us, and she's going to be doing an incredible breath work and meditation for us. I can't wait for that as well. So I don't know if you guys were aware, but my picture came up on my Facebook messengers. I think it was 2 years ago that I cracked my tibia in Mexico. Yeah, I cracked my tibia in Mexico. And I don't have any health insurance, but I came back, boy. And within 3 months of using this particular every single day, microcurrent, getting out and sitting in the sun outside with my vitamin D, hundreds. So I actually had absolutely no medical attention whatsoever for that. So that's one of the many, and we could sit here, Debbie and I could relate all day long about how many stories we have about this. So does anybody else have anything they'd like to add or chat in, call in, like check in and say where you're from? And let's see, we got 7 people here online. Anyone have any questions or anything? I don't know why I'm getting this view. I guess we can, there we go. And then we can go ahead and move along to our next section, which is actually going to be Natalie. And does anyone need a little break? I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording for a second so that we can make sure we have enough space. And then let's just get on and have a chat.
With these young moms that are being bombarded with so many vaccines and so many drugs for their kids, and trying to educate them how to feed them, how to work with them emotionally and physically. But you know what? My grandbabies, when they get sick, they just go right to the Wellness Pro, because they know that's where Nana's going to put them, and where Mommy's going to put them on. And that's what they know. They don't know all the shots and the medications and stuff. And their skin, their mentality, their attitude is so different from children who have been through so much medication and all that nonsense. There's other ways to get well. There just is. And I probably get in trouble for saying that.
No, I think we're within the guidelines of not claiming to treat, cure, prevent disease.
Right.
This morning.
Right.
And again, Deb, so how you would go about owning a Wellness Pro, if anybody needs to know, is you would get a prescription from your doctor for pain, and it would say pens. The other thing too is, let's just get this money out of the like on the table and off the table. The unit costs $3,500. Okay, and as a reseller for today's, this summit, I'll totally give $250 off to anybody who want to order one of these. Okay, and you can talk to us about it, and we'll give you full support and like help you with as everybody who's purchased one in our little community knows, we definitely provide back-end support and help and education and so on. And I want you to please talk a little bit more about that, because I know there's some people like Rebecca who will be very interested to know about the educational part of it. But if you take just a thought, okay, if you're paying insurance for your health insurance, and there's 4 of you in the household and 2 dogs, that's 6 organisms that you can treat with one thing. That is a one-off payment. Okay, you buy it once and then you use it all the time. Compare that to the costs of going to even a vet once. A vet once, and you will see that this is like way and far beyond having something. Like, for instance, I always laugh because I say if I was getting married today, this would be on my registry. No dishes, don't give me dishes and plates and stuff. I need that, because I know that, and you can take it everywhere with you. And it is, if you are a professional fitness person, you can do nothing better for your clients. So I will finish off saying that. And Debbie, will you tell us what's coming down the pipe about education with ElectroMedTech?
Well, we've got some good stuff coming up, but I just want to say, $3,500 is not a lot of money. I just looked at a microcurrent machine for $9,000. And our machine, which just gets sweeter and sweeter, we have 3 different ways of using our machine. We have A10s, we have microcurrent, and then we also work off of custom codes called a STEM card, which is in the back of the machine. And we can write and share with each other different forms of custom codes. Most people can't do that, and if you do, they charge you hundreds of dollars to do that. So we're putting together, I'm working with Dr. Lee Woolley from The New Human and Dr. Michelle Mansell, and she has a school in Oklahoma that she will be issuing certifications for the Wellness Pro, and it will be online classes, but we will do some hands-on as well, and we're going to take it to the next level because we're going to teach specific ways to treat, and in Ann's field, will every kind of injury under the sun that will, sprains, broken bones like herself. I mean, all these athletes get hurt, and they have clients that get hurt. So we can show them how they can get rid of that inflammation and start the repairing ASAP. And also, there's going to be, then we'll start, hopefully, then we're going to branch out, start doing trainings in different areas. And hopefully this will start to launch in August. I just met with Dr. Woolley yesterday, and we're putting together some really neat programs that I think understanding, your machine. I mean, one thing that I always hated, I mean, I bought a machine and I came home knowing 2 frequencies. Nobody trained me, it was osmosis, but I don't regret that because it pushed me into learning to do it myself. I had to break down the frequencies to be able to put them on the older machine that I was using before this company brought out this FDA cleared and machine. But I went to what they called hard knock school. But in lieu of that, the automated programs that they have already put in have been tried and tested for many, many, many years. This is not something new. Microcurrents have been out for years and years, I mean, decades and hundreds of years. It just got suppressed. And because there's documentation out there of what frequencies can and how they heal the body. So in lieu of that, we're really excited about where this is coming. So you guys will have to stay tuned, because we also hopefully within the next year we'll have some portable devices that will be associated with the Wellness Pro and the little STEM cards and the programs. So we are going to bust out at the seams, because every person needs this, no matter what.
Every home should have one. There's no, and again, also as Zane says, when you get that injury, that cut that you did when you were washing the dishes, or somebody wakes up in the middle of the night and you get it right away. You get that little tickle in your throat, or you get that sniffle, and because you feel, how when you're getting sick, and you hit that thing with that stick right away, doesn't even arrive half the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
And again, we would then be going into that slippery slope of actual prevention. I mean, who knew that we can really do that? But that's what I say. So from frequency comes all of the things, from your basic addressing your toxicity and whatever, all the way up to all of our, what we've got, chakra colors and stuff. It's really amazing, right? And you go down that rabbit hole and you're just like, no way. So just so that people, this is my file that I always refer to. And Rebecca, I don't know how many times you've looked in your code book for things and just kind of perused it. But how many years has it been now? Like almost 10? I'm still looking through the code book and going, no way, there's a code for that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, Rebecca brought up something that, I didn't mention, but the Safagio frequencies are sound frequencies that are equated with music, so to speak, or sound. And those are very, as we know, different people like different music, but there are healing elements to the Safagio frequencies, which are also in that machine as well. The technology is off the chart. I mean, it's it's coming, and when you start working with this, you're going to see, oh my word, I didn't know this was out there, and the technology is there. When we pop good food and good vitamins in our body, there's a process. Hey, we can empower that with frequencies. So I mean, it's like the difference at looking at you look at your husband or your boyfriend or significant other and just looking at them, but it's a big difference when you start kissing them. Now there's some frequencies.
Debbie, do you want to quickly just tell us a little bit about, because I know there's quite a few people who use essential oils as well, and you can just touch on it a little bit about your essential oils, and then let them know where, if they own a unit and they would like to get your book that you did for us.
Also, well, on my journey of getting well, I met another person named Mike Dittmer, who has now passed on, but he was into Young Living oils, and he matched the oil frequency to frequencies in our Wellness Pro. So at that time, we put together frequencies, what we call a 14-day protocol, and it's a raindrop therapy, but I only teach it to those who have machines, because you can learn raindrop therapy from Young Living, that it's more than that. And what happens is the frequencies drive the oils into the body so much deeper, and allowing the body to keep the frequency in the body a lot longer. So when I do a raindrop therapy, we do it on the back. We lay a person on the table. It's easy. The book I put together to do that, and it teaches you step by step. Maybe we'll do some hands-on one of these days in our class. We'll be teaching it. But when I first started doing this, I had a young guy come to me, him and his young wife, and he was a teacher, and he had mononucleosis. And I said, well, hey, let me try this. And he had heard that I do. He goes, I heard you do some electrical machine, and I'm like, well, let me try some raindrop therapy on you. This kid came every day for 13 days, because you take a day break. And he came, never missed a day. And we did the raindrop every day, 30 minutes to an hour. And within the 14-day program, he never missed one day of school as a teacher. And if any of you have known anybody that has mono or have experienced yourself, that people sometimes are down for weeks and months even. He never missed one day of school. He didn't make anybody else sick, and he didn't miss beat. So, I empowered him with some vitamin C as well, and, some other things, on a nutritional level. But because he stayed consistent and using frequencies from the essential oils along with the frequencies from the machine, that kid, and he has never gotten it since, because sometimes that comes back, it kind of reiterates into the body, but it never came back, and it's probably been over 10 years.
Yeah, so that's another thing, that when you are told by a doctor that you now have this condition for the rest of your days, and this is your medication that you are going to line up on your kitchen table, and that's going to be that. Mm-hmm. That's when we have to turn around and go, well, wait, why? And also the aspect of being a healer and doing what you just said you just did, we also have to remember that there are the people that don't want to let it go. So when we finally realize that we're dealing with a person that doesn't want to let their issues go, that's when you have to move on to the next person, right?
Oh, right. I mean, it's a person, one of the questions I ask my clients, is how bad do you want to get well, or do you want to get well, and do you want to live? I mean, it's, you know, Doug taught us that. Doug was like, he was, you know, an ex-recon Marine. He was real tough, and I thought he was really mean on some of the clients when I'd sit in and he would talk, and I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, everybody wants to live, but that's really not true. Not everybody does want to live. So you have to find out who really wants to make a difference in their life and other people's lives. So in lieu of that, you have to understand that you have the power to make those decisions, and you have the power to change what's going on in your body. And if you don't, then that's your choice. It's okay.
Yep, all the choices that we make are okay. But again, we can choose to change the way that we
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's not the option. We don't have an option about aging, but we absolutely have it in our hands to change the way that it happens. So does anyone else have anything to add, ask, or let us know about? And I'm going to go ahead and thank you, Debbie, so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, and can't wait to hear the rest of the speakers. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Love you, Deb.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.